It started with one live stream and one comment Jim Jones probably wishes he never made. What began as casual talk between Jim and Memphis Bleek turned into a full-on storm that rocked New York hip-hop. Jim tried to clown Tony Yayo, saying he only eats because 50 Cent keeps him fed. He laughed, mocked his look, and threw shade like it was all fun and games. But what Jim didn't realize was that some people don't play about loyalty, especially not Uncle Murda. Within hours, the clip went viral.
You know, me from the hood, so people look at Bleek and don't understand the business he's doing, and they always look at Jay like, oh,
yeah. That's why you got like Yayo talking about, Jay don't take care of. I don't need Jay to go on tour.
Yo, smoke hard coke, yo.
Yo, chill. Yo, chill.
You look like you need to be taken care of. You look like you need to go to the dentist. You need to look like you need to brush your teeth. You look like you need hygiene.
Fans called Jim disrespectful, while others claimed he just exposed how fake the game's become. But then Uncle Murda stepped in, and that's when everything changed. His message wasn't just a response, it was a warning, a reminder that loyalty still matters more than clout, and that 50's circle moves like family, not employees.
So I knew I was okay. He sold 11 million records. He had deals with Jay-Z and them, but Jay-Z ain't gonna never did. I always tell him all the time, Jay-Z ain't treat you like this.
Oh, he definitely like playing, this nigga.
Jay-Z might not even say hard as though.
So we just had a, lit. Jay-Z will never take you to a party like this.
But that wasn't the whole story, because Murda's next words didn't just offend Wanda. They drew a line in the sand between two worlds, corporate power and street loyalty, and what happened next? It had the whole internet choosing sides. Before Jim Jones even opened his mouth, this whole thing started with something real, Tony Yayo keeping it 100. In a recent interview, Yayo sat down and said what most artists are too scared to admit. He said, "Fifth don't just feed us, he teaches us how to eat." And that line hit deep, because he wasn't talking about handouts or fame. He was talking about loyalty, something rare in this industry. Yayo broke down how 50 Cent always looked out for his people, not just when cameras were rolling, but behind the scenes when it mattered most. When taxes hit, when money got tight, when the lights went off, 50 Cent made sure his crew never fell. He mentioned how 50 helped artists like Prodigy and Beanie Sigel get back on their feet, even when he didn't have to. "We was friends first, business second," Yayo said. And that right there is what separates 50 from the rest.
Spoke about how
Jay don't look
out for Bleek like Fib look out for you.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I just want to clear that up. Hov don't have to.
And then he said he eat his home halal.
You know what I mean? All right. Okay. I'm chewing halal on my own.
He eats on his own. I eat on my own too.
Right.
I go on my own tour. I just came off tour.
Right.
When have you seen Bleek on tour? On his own. Jay-Z is not a bad guy. Bleek is not a bad guy. I'm not saying. I'm saying to you that Jay-Z was all business with them niggas. When Buck up on his taxes, 50 a piece or more. When Prodigy bought a house and needed more money, 50 a piece or more. Prodigy are paying back. The thing with 50 is, it was business and we was friends. I don't feel like Bleek was Jay-Z friend. I don't feel like Young Guns was Jay-Z friend. It came to a point where 50 was helping Sigel.
He made it clear this wasn't about bragging or begging. Yayo wasn't trying to expose Jay-Z or downplay anyone else's success. He was simply painting the difference between two worlds, one built on brotherhood and one built on business. "When I'm on tour," Yayo said, "I'm eating off my own plate, but Fifth made sure I got a table to begin with." That line stuck with people. It wasn't just about music, it was about legacy, respect, and how real ones take care of their circle.
Like the keep showing up next to down. That's an indication to me he might have some feelings towards me. That is just everywhere I got an issue. He show up around me. So I mean, you don't get music, because the music ain't usually my motivation. My morals come off the curb. So if you see a nigga keep being around nigga, when he come around, how your antennas go. So he in a position where he might feel like he did.
Fans flooded the comments calling Yayo loyal to the soil. Others pointed out that while Jay-Z built billion-dollar partnerships, 50 built bonds that could survive anything. But when Jim Jones heard that, he didn't clap. He cracked jokes. He turned Wymer's loyalty into a punchline. And that decision would be the one that brought Uncle Murda off the sidelines. Because while Yayo was talking respect, Jim decided to talk slick. And the internet wasn't ready for what came next. When Jim Jones jumped on that live stream with Memphis Bleek, things went left fast. What started as regular barbershop talk turned into straight mockery. Jim couldn't help himself. He started clowning Tony Yayo like it was comedy hour. He laughed about how Yayo still rolls with 50 Cent, called him broke, and even took cheap shots about his looks. "You look like you need to be taken care of," Jim said, trying to make the room laugh. "Tell 50 to send you an ounce or two." The chat went wild, but not in the way Jim expected.
A lot of, me from the hood, so people look at Bleek and don't understand the business he's doing, and they always look at Jay like, oh,
yeah. That's why you got like Yayo talking about, Jay don't take care of. I don't need Jay to go on tour.
You'll smoke hard coke, yo.
Yo, chill. Yo, chill.
You look like you need to be taken care of, nigga. You look like you need to go to the dentist. You need to look like you need to brush your teeth. You look like you need hygiene. You look like you need help. Tell your man 50 send you an ounce or something, yo.
You do need
You
that
might
help.
need
That's
2
why-
ounces.
That's why
Paid
he
in full
looking
move. I got a G for every bump in your face. I promise you that.
That's
I
a
promise
fact.
you that.
Why you worrying about
Peon, you broke. You know
See?
I got it.
See, Yayo wasn't even talking down on Jay-Z or Jim. He was just explaining how 50 handles business differently, how he keeps his people close and his circle paid.
The crib, no roaches and all that, mean little spot, small spot. Nobody believes in that. We playing Get Rich or Die Trying already in the crib. You had half that done. Like, all right. What's it? Cool. I'm like, everybody get confused. Because they don't think that your dream is gonna come. But you gotta, you know what I mean? That's why I respect him. Because we had more of an assist. We had 50 Cent. So I knew I was okay. We sold 11 million records. Even motherfucker, he had deals with Jay-Z and them, but Jay-Z ain't gonna never. I always tell him all the time, Jay-Z ain't treat me like this.
Oh, he definitely like playing on this.
Jay-Z might not even say hard as though.
So we just, the party we was just at in Miami with the Kardashians, Serena Williams, and everybody. We just finished performing. Great time, right? First thing my man here want to say, yeah, lit. Jay-Z will never take you to a party like this.
You might get him right.
But instead of listening, Jim tried to flip it into a joke, turning loyalty into weakness. He laughed, said Yayo still depends on 50, and tried to paint G-Unit as washed. But what he didn't realize is that G-Unit's name still carries weight, especially in New York. As the clip spread, fans started calling Jim bitter. Some said he was desperate to stay in headlines after his own music slowed down. Others called him out for trying to get laughs instead of giving credit where it's due, because everyone knows Jim's had his own issues with loyalty. From Dipset beef to industry fallouts, his name's been tied to drama more than brotherhood. The energy on that livestream said it all. Bleek tried to calm things down, but Jim kept going, comparing lifestyles, bragging about who's living better, and taking more shots at Yayo's image than his message. But here's where things flipped. Jim thought he was just clowning for the crowd. What he didn't know was that someone else was watching, and they weren't laughing. Uncle Murda, one of 50's most loyal soldiers, heard every word. And if there's one thing Murda doesn't tolerate, it's disrespect toward family. Because what Jim saw as jokes, Murda saw as shots fired. And what came next would make the whole hip-hop internet stop scrolling. Uncle Murda didn't waste a second. The moment he saw that clip, he jumped straight online and let the world know Jim Jones crossed the line. His tone wasn't playful or petty. It was firm, controlled, and laced with that Brooklyn energy that lets you know he means every word. Jay got business partners. Murda said, but 50 got brothers. That one line set the internet on fire. It wasn't just a comeback. It was a statement. Murda wasn't defending Yayo because of fame. He was defending the code. He was speaking for everyone who still believes loyalty means something. He reminded fans that 50's circle didn't come from contracts or clout. They came from shared history, struggle, and trust. Fifth feeds his people, Murda said, not just with money, but with opportunities. He builds his team, not replaces them. That truth hit hard. People started replaying the clips side by side, Jim mocking Yayo while Murda spoke on real loyalty, and the contrast was undeniable. One man chasing laughs, another protecting legacy. Even industry vets began chiming in, saying Murda spoke what many have been thinking for years. You can buy buzz, but you can't fake brotherhood. When Murda called 50's crew family, not employees, it wasn't shade. It was a reminder that some relationships go deeper than checks or brunch invites. And that's exactly what made the message sting. Because while Jim's been busy jumping from trend to trend, rapping, styling, influencing, Murda's been locked in, loyal, and consistent. Fans started flooding comments saying Murda just ended this with one line. Jim had lit a fire he couldn't control, and Mirka poured gasoline on it in full public view. But Mirka wasn't done yet. What came next turned this from a social media spat into a full-blown loyalty war between two worlds, the Hustler's Code and the influencer era. And that next move would draw bloodlines across hip-hop's biggest circles. The internet didn't wait to take sides, it exploded overnight. Within hours, clips of Jim clowning Yayo and Murda's response were everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all flooded with opinions. Comment sections turned into battlefields. Some were riding for Jim, saying he was just joking and that people were taking things too seriously, but way more fans weren't laughing. They said he disrespected a man who's been solid for 20 years, a man who never turned on his people. One comment said it best, Jim talking like loyalty's a weakness? That's how you know he forgot where he came from. Others brought up Dipset's own history, saying Jim's the last one who should talk about loyalty after all the internal beefs, fallouts, and failed reunions. It wasn't long before old clips started resurfacing. Interviews where Jim threw shade at Cameron, arguments over credit, and that messy Verzoos night where the LOX embarrassed Dipset live. Fans were connecting dots fast. Meanwhile, G-Unit fans were celebrating. They flooded Murda's post with fire emojis and real one comments, praising how he handled it. Uncle Murda checked him respectfully. One fan wrote, "Didn't need no diss track, just truth." Even neutral hip-hop heads admitted Murda's words hit harder than any bar. Then came the memes. Endless memes. Photos of 50 laughing with captions like, "When loyalty pays better than brunch invites." The internet turned Jim's joke into his own PR nightmare. But here's where things got interesting. Some industry insiders started hinting that Murda's message wasn't just about Jim. They said it exposed a deeper divide in hip-hop between those who move like corporations and those who move like families. Fans started debating what kind of legacy really lasts longer, business power or real loyalty. And while the online war kept heating up, behind the scenes, word was that 50 himself had seen everything. And if you know 50, silence is never just silence. Something was brewing. This whole debate cracked open something way bigger than Jim Jones. It exposed two completely different blueprints for success. Jay-Z's empire of strategy versus 50 Cent's kingdom of loyalty. Two moguls, two mindsets, and the internet started asking the real question, who built it better? See, Jay-Z moves like a corporation. Every friendship, every partnership, it's strategic. He builds with purpose, not emotion. From Rockefeller to Rock Nation, he's mastered the art of power moves, making connections that open doors, even if those doors eventually close behind certain people. Once you stop fitting the plan, the partnership fades. That's not hate, that's business, but it's cold. And in hip-hop, that kind of coldness always leaves a scar. Then there's 50 Cent, the total opposite. He runs his circle like a family. The same people who were with him in the grind are still standing beside him today. Tony Yayo, Lloyd Banks, Uncle Murda, they've all stayed close because 50 Tyne never forgot who held him down when he had nothing. He doesn't just cut checks, he teaches his people how to make their own, buy homes, build businesses, eat together. That's why Murda's line, Jay got business partners, but 50 got brothers, hit so deep. To fans, it summed up everything they already felt. Jay builds castles, 50 builds communities, one runs boardrooms, the other runs loyalty like a currency. Even industry insiders started chiming in, saying both models work, but only one connects with the streets. People respect Jay-Z's brilliance, but they feel 50's loyalty. That emotional connection is something money can't buy, and maybe that's why fans are more likely to repost a 50 Cent laugh than a Jay-Z interview. This isn't about who's richer, it's about who's realer. And that debate has no clear winner, because while Jay-Z's playing chess, 50's feeding his soldiers. Two kings, two empires, two codes that can't exist in the same world, and Jim Jones just accidentally reminded everyone which one the streets still salute. What Uncle Murda said wasn't just talk, it was proof of how 50 Cent runs his empire differently. Loyalty isn't a slogan for him, it's a business model. His success wasn't built on fake handshakes or quick deals, it was built on shared wins. When 50 rises, his people rise too. That's been the pattern from day one. Look at Tony Yayo. Through all the ups and downs, he's still right there, touring, performing, making moves with 50 decades later. Same with Uncle Murda, who admitted he bought his first house because of opportunities that came from being down with G-Unit. That's not just friendship, that's generational empowerment. 50 doesn't hand out favors, he hands out lessons. He puts his people in rooms they could never reach alone, teaches them how to stand on their own, and still keeps them close. That's what makes his circle so strong. He's not feeding dependents, he's creating bosses. Every project he touches, whether it's Power, BMF, or his film ventures, you'll notice familiar names in the credits. That's not nostalgia, that's legacy. He's building something that lasts, where loyalty isn't just repaid, it's recycled. Fans always notice that energy. They see how 50 keeps his team booked, paid, and relevant. He brings them on stage, into business deals, even into Hollywood. You can't fake that kind of bond. It's built from surviving together, and that's what separates him from so many others in the game. Jay-Z builds partnerships to expand his brand. 50 builds relationships to expand his people. He never forgot who was with him before the fame. The same faces are still beside him now. It's why his crew looks like family reunions, not corporate meetings. That's 50's loyalty blueprint in one sentence. Feed your team, teach them to win, and let them shine beside you, not behind you. And it's that kind of foundation that keeps his name respected, not just in business, but in every block that still believes in real brotherhood. At this point, the debate turned into something deeper, not just about who's loyal or rich, but about what really lasts, legacy or longevity, because both Jay-Z and 50 Cent have achieved things most artists only dream of. But the way they've built their empires couldn't be more different. Jay built his to last forever, carved in stone through brands, labels, and billion-dollar ventures. 50 Cent built his to be felt through the people, through the streets, through loyalty that outlives any chart position. Jay-Z's legacy lives in business pages, streaming platforms, sports agencies, fine fine art collections, he's the mogul blueprint, the one they study in classrooms. But his name doesn't echo in the same way in the neighborhoods that raised him. For the streets, he became distant, respected, yes, but unreachable. People say he graduated from the struggle but never looked back. That's why his wins feel powerful yet cold. 50 Cent's longevity, on the other hand, comes from staying connected. He never left the people who helped him rise. His career evolved. Sure, movies, TV, business, but his voice still sounds like someone who remembers what it's like to fight for everything. That's why fans still root for him after all these years. He represents survival, not just success. In hip-hop, legacy is about what you leave behind. Longevity is about how long you stay. Felt. Jay-Z has the plaques and partnerships, but 50 has the loyalty and love that money can't buy. And that's where the debate splits the culture. Do you want to be remembered as the richest or the realist? Because when the cameras fade and the trends die down, people don't talk about who had the biggest deal. They talk about who kept it solid. And for a lot of fans, that's why 50's name still hits like it did 20 years ago. His story isn't about walking away from the grind. It's about carrying the same people who helped him build it. That's the balance Jay mastered in business, but 50 mastered in heart. And in the end, one builds monuments, the other builds memories. At the end of all this noise, the interviews, the clapbacks, the memes, one thing stands clear: this wasn't just about Jim Jones, Tony Yayo, or Uncle Murda. It was about what the culture values now. In a world chasing fame, filters, and fast money, loyalty has become rare. That's what made this story hit so deep. It reminded people that being real still matters, even in an era run by algorithms. 50 Cent's name keeps coming up, not just because he's loud or legendary, but because his moves mean something. Every person in his circle has a story of how he changed their life, not just their career. That's why when Uncle Murda said, "Jay got business partners, but 50 got brothers," it didn't sound like hate. It sounded like truth. The streets felt that, because it's the kind of message that money can't buy and time can't erase. Meanwhile, Jay-Z's way proves something else: that strategy and silence can still build empires. You can win by being smart and selective, but 50 shows you can win by being solid and loyal. Two kings, two paths, and both undefeated in their own way. So maybe that's the real message behind the madness. You can chase power, or you can build people, but only one of those keeps your name alive when the lights go out